Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I am your host, Patty G. I am here with allegedly a cousin of mine, Taylor Bennett. The truth and the jury are still out on that, but I'm pretty sure we're both related. We're both from a Voles Parish. A Voles Parish here in Louisiana. We've got to be related some kind of way. We'll do like a 23andMe or like a link tree or something like that to figure this out.
That's right.
But he is our guest of this week's episode of the Patty G Show, which is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors, Government Taco and Falaya Real Estate. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear a little bit more about them. And without further ado, Taylor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, I am more than excited to have you. Any friend of Flynn Foster is a friend of mine, right?
I think he claims that more than I claim it. But
wait, he claims you as a friend?
I'll take him on as a friend too. No, Flynn's great. Good friend of mine.
Oh, absolutely. So for those that don't know Flynn, go check out his past episode on the show and you'll understand why Taylor is making that comment. He's a hoot, man.
He is, man. He's just like all fun.
Yeah, all fun and all game just all the time. And right. who cannot love that man?
Never turns it off. Ever.
Which is challenging.
Yeah. I mean, he's real proud of his Sharknado appearance. Have you seen
I have
that?
not heard of the Shark. Did we hear?
Yeah.
Did we hear
little
of the
acting
Sharknado?
gig he had?
I don't think we heard of the Sharknado experience. I'll have to text him. Hey, Flynn, man. I just was watching Sharknado and
I
heard
think
you
it was
on.
Sharknado. It was one of those.
Okay. So Taylor, we're here to talk about you, not Flynn.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll come up. What do you do, man? Who are you? Who is Taylor Bennett?
Man, so I guess I started MESH about 18 years ago. Okay. And I think that's become more of a part of me than most anything else that people know me for. Before that, I went to school in engineering and at LSU for 2.5 years.
Engineering?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What kind of engineering?
I tried them all and failed miserably. And one day I was looking through a survey tool and I looked at the guy next to me and I said, man, can you imagine doing this for the rest of your life? And he goes, yeah, what else am I going to do? And I was like, I'm out of here.
Wow.
And I walked off campus and didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that wasn't it. And dropped out of LSU and went to work at a coffee shop. And I met a graphic designer there.
That's a drastic shift.
Big shift. And I met this designer. I was like, I could probably do this. It looks fun. And then, ended up going to Savannah College of Art and Design.
Okay.
Finished with a BFA and took a job.
Bachelor in Fine Arts. Okay.
Took a job at a printer right after that, making $9 an hour.
Like just printing?
Printing, booklets and pamphlets and stuff like that.
So not even on the design side, just straight up on the production side.
Whoever was going to hire me, that's where I was.
That wasn't an engineering firm and you were not doing surveys.
Right. Anything that didn't involve math, So I did that for a while and then started my design career at a little place called Design Logic. It was me and the owner and another designer. And I really just kind of fell in love with graphic design and creative and storytelling and, selling, behind the camera with ideas and coming up with really out there, bizarre, creative ideas that sold stuff. And really? I was like, man, if I can get paid for this, I mean, I'm loving life. And so after that, I worked with one of my mentors, Martin Flanagan, who I told you a little bit about.
Yeah.
And Martin and I hit it off really well. And I worked there for about 4 years. And then, I always wanted to start my own business ever since I can remember. And
you had that entrepreneurial itch.
Yeah.
You're just like, I got to do it for me.
Yeah.
Got to do it for what I believe in.
Well, it's just, I think some people just have that itch, And so I probably started it sooner than I thought I would. And, one day I decided to do it. I started at a 10 by 10 room right outside of my garage. And
really,
and I had a partner early on who was a great copywriter, just super witty. And we started Mesh. He was working out of like a little spare room, and I was working out of a spare room in my house. We were doing photo shoots in my garage. I mean, it was.
Well, and this is early 2000s, right? You said
Yeah.
18 years y'all have been in business?
Yeah.
So like
right.
03, 02?
03.
03, okay. So right around there is when you started. So the technology was significantly bulkier than it is now.
Not there. The technology was void compared to what it is now. I mean, I remember we had gotten a really great job project out of Atlanta, and before everything was digital, it was a catalog, and they sent all their film down for us to look at, and we had to look at every image in a loop.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, this is like archaic, man.
Wait. Okay, so first off, so many questions here. How did you get connected with somebody out of Atlanta? You were in Baton Rouge, right?
We were in Baton Rouge.
So how do you get connected with somebody out of Atlanta? A 2-person show.
Yeah.
How do you get that connection?
So my partner's sister,
Okay.
Heather Nichols, who, thank you so much, Heather, worked at a company up in Atlanta. We did a T-shirt design for this company for their
Okay.
corporate run, and the VP of marketing at the time asked, "Who did this?" And she said, "Well, my brother and his business partner." And she said, "Well," and he said, "Well, do they do catalogs? Because we're about to redo our catalog." And she said, "Yeah," because we had just finished a big boat manufacturer's catalog. And so, yeah, that's how we got it.
The times have changed.
And they're still a client today. So,
that's incredible.
18 years. So, yeah.
Like, I'm just thinking catalogs in general. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny to see how kind of like marketing has transitioned
Yeah.
over 18 years. I mean, like you said, your first gig was doing catalogs, and you're sitting there looking, through film and through, images on a reel or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the technology was.
Yeah, I just sounded really old. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it has changed drastically, and I think obviously everything's online now.
Yeah.
Everything.
Do they even make catalogs anymore?
They do. Some we don't really, but yeah, they do. It's just it's a different world. Everything's so quick. All social media has made everything almost like disposable.
Right.
So all of our marketing, where we used to spend, days, months, sometimes years developing campaigns, it's a lot quicker now. You gotta move really quick and put content out there that the brand, people who follow the brand fall in love with.
You have to.
And you have to just keep going. It's like a machine, to keep generating content and getting really good content out there, So
yeah. Beforehand you could, develop this catalog or develop this magazine ad or this billboard ad that'll sit there for X number of months or maybe even a year. And that was like your development of the campaign.
yeah.
And now for social media, it's like, okay, we need to develop a campaign that we have to generate content every single day for.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, our campaign is, like, for example, like Walk-On just came out with an NIL campaign where they're adding on additional players every
Right.
single week. So you got to do stuff like that for brands. That's okay. Our campaign, is Go Green initiative or whatnot.
Right.
Well, we've got to push across the multitude of social media platforms that how we're achieving that or how we're
Right.
going about executing on that mission. You can't just say, all right, Go Green initiative. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Great.
Right.
People got to see it. They got to visualize it. They have to be able to connect the business to the reality of what's actually happening.
Yeah, and I think that that and the measurement that comes with social media
Yes.
and just digital media in general is amazing. we started as a two-man company, mostly developing creative and really focusing in on branding. And, even with everything that you just said, the brand and what the brand stands for is extremely important, because that thread has to be told through every piece of content that goes out. And, what we try and do is make sure that whatever that is, that it's something that only that brand can really identify with. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of brands that are kind of hanging their hat on causes and things like that, which is great.
Absolutely.
It's really good to get behind that stuff, but not put your whole brand and everything into it. You have to really you got to be unique, to have people want to follow you. So, that's really, we focus a lot on that now, a lot on strategy. Mm-hmm. We have about 35 people now in the company.
That's incredible.
It's insane. Thankfully, I have a great leadership team and just a great team in general. If I got hit by a bus, I think the company would do just fine. You got
a good bus test in place.
Yeah. So, I think it's changed a lot, but the fundamentals of what makes a brand special has not changed. Right. You got to have that connection. People have got to connect with it, and it's got to be more than just the product.
Right.
So,
and I have conversations with people all the time about the difference between marketing and advertising.
Right.
Which I'm sure you're just running, circles of, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But like from a brand perspective, marketing is, that image, that name, that mission, whereas advertising is like, buy this glass.
Right.
So how do y'all go about looking at not only, our ideas and designs around marketing and advertising? How do you kind of go about do they blend, or do you do them entirely separately?
Well, that's a good question. So, both are very important. If you developed a brand and you put it up on a shelf and nobody ever knew about it or saw it, mm-hmm. then you haven't really done anything, right? Anything great. So what we always look at is, let's develop the brand, or at least pay attention. Like if a developed brand comes to us, let's make sure that it's in a good place, both internally and externally. That the people who are working there are sold on it and bought into whatever that belief is. And then the folks who are being marketed to are sold on it. So we do some tests and, really do a lot of research and develop a really cool brand, something that people are going to really fall in love with. And then the second is a go-to-market plan. So, what I find and see a lot is people skip the brand part and they just go straight to market, and they waste a lot of dollars on just stuff that is not really that important, that people don't really buy into. Usually it's people who are shopping price or something like that. But you have to have a go-to-market plan, and you have to buy and place media in the right places, for those people who are going to be bought into the brand to see. So it's a lot of steps in between those, but that's really kind of the 1-2 punch for us is get the brand right and then get it in front of the people who matter the most, right. And digital is really, we don't even say digital versus traditional anymore, because everything has kind of moved over onto digital. You've got we've cut the cord. Most people, are doing OTT, for their television now and stuff like that.
And OTT meaning?
It's over the top television. I don't know what it means, but sounds cool.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's that jargon, that lingo that we got to talk about.
That's right. But I think it's super fascinating, that you can send one post out or develop one piece of content, and it can have a profound effect on your brand. one way or
100%.
the other, you know,
100%.
or somebody else could do it on
Yeah.
the brand's behalf. So,
Yeah, you could have, they get into the realm of influencer marketing,
yeah.
right? You could hire somebody or pay somebody with that following that, that cult-like following that's like, just we're going to buy whatever this person does because we love this person. This person has spent the time and carefully crafted and articulated their brand. So we know whatever they present on social media is going to be on point with their brand.
Right.
And so we're going to support whatever that company is.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
They have to, like you said, cultivate that image, cultivate that mission statement almost about what they are as a social media influencer, even just a general influencer.
Right. Yeah. And there's definitely a place for influencers, and it's getting much, much bigger. We're bringing influencers into a lot of the brands that we're working with. And the key is finding an influencer that matches up with whatever the DNA and the ethos of your brand is, and making sure that they align, with the values and everything that you support as a brand. And, you mentioned NIL earlier, and I think that, there's a huge opportunity for that. You've got companies like Matchpoint who are here in Baton Rouge who are doing a fantastic job matching athletes up to brands. It's super important and crucial to make sure that those matches match with whatever those brand promises are. I mean, some of the things that we've talked about where that's concerned is matching it up with a team, or several different players, so you don't put all your stock into one. But I think it's a fascinating and really awesome time for advertising when you're able to bring those young men and women into a role, to play a role in a brand at that age. It's been a long time coming.
Oh yeah, and then being able to help them navigate that space as individuals.
Right.
I mean, influencers, they've built their following based on what they do every day. So some influencers could be just pure creative content where they make funny, they make serious, they make, lighthearted humor or whatever it is. They make that content that people fall in love with, so they follow them. And then on the flip side, you can have somebody who's in sports or athletics and they play the sport. People love them because they're like their favorite player. They love what they do on and off the field. And then as an advertising perspective, you've got to be able to talk with them and say, okay, when you're doing this, you have to maintain your brand and you can't clutter it up with just ads all the time.
Right.
You can't always sit there with your vitamin water going, hey, buy this vitamin water.
Right.
Every single post, because your initial followers were there because of what you did on or off the field.
That's exactly right. And, it kind of goes back to the basic rule of advertising. Mm-hmm. And that is you've got to entertain and you've got to connect with people emotionally. If you don't do those two things, eventually you're going to become white noise, and even these influencers, if they're just pointing to a product and not really making it entertaining or telling a story or making it a clever piece of content, it's going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. It's like the Super Bowl ads that happen every year.
Right.
They are spending a lot of money for this airtime. You've got to make them capturing. You got to make them, just ultimately when you watch them, you're going to remember them forever.
Yeah.
Doritos have done very great things in the past. I can think of just many, many Dorito commercials.
Spice,
Old Spice has done Tide.
Yeah.
Budweiser. Like you said, pulling at the emotional strings, the puppy and the Clydesdale.
Yeah.
Like that is just an iconic image that everyone who has ever seen the commercial can instantly remember and think of. Like literally when you said pull on people's strings, they're like, oh yeah, Budweiser.
Yeah.
Like it's just when you think about those types of advertising, the type of marketing, you're telling a story.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you need to have a Super Bowl ad all the time.
That's right.
You can't afford to have a bland, vanilla, plain advertisement or marketing agenda go out the door because no one's going to pay attention to it because of the fire hose of information we get from social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you talking about the Super Bowl, I thought one of the most brilliant pieces of content several years ago, the lights went out at the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
And Oreo put out a graphic and a tweet, and it said "duck in the dark," and it was just like brilliant. I mean, it was timely. It was done probably right then and there. They were paying attention to what was happening, and it was a clever piece of content, and everybody who saw it remembered it. So, it's a way of kind of taking the tradition of what makes advertising so special and not something that you want to flip through, and then bringing it into, a new medium, and that just a really cool example.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with the ever-evolving realm of streaming, whether it be on YouTube for videos you're watching or whether it be TV, I mean, I don't know if my wife and I are a prime example. We don't have cable.
Yeah.
We've never had cable our entire married life. I mean, it's short, but we still, like, when we were like, hey, we're not getting cable, right? And we're like, yeah, we're not, like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We don't want to pay for television to sit there and watch boring ads.
Yeah.
We don't want to pay for television to get there and be sold by something. Now, if you're streaming using Hulu and you're not paying for no ads, or you're on YouTube and you're waiting for those 15 seconds to get up and skip the ad, it's like, how do you create content that does not lend to people wanting to skip?
Yeah.
How do you create something where I'm watching on Hulu or I'm watching on YouTube and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to watch this before I even go onto my video.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I want to watch this. I'm going to click. Yeah. Click here. Yeah. Click here. You sold me on whatever it is. How do we get to a world where that's the content happening? But then once we reach that level, it's like another plateau and we have to keep on exceeding those expectations.
And it changes very, very quickly, and I've got people who work at Mesh who are a lot smarter than me, who keep up with all that and make sure that the creative that we're doing. You mentioned these ads that pop up on videos, and allow you to click through it after 5 seconds. Well, that changes the way that you develop creative.
Oh, 100%.
Because you have to catch somebody in the first second or two of that ad, whereas before you had 30 seconds to really kind of tell that story. So, it's and then TikTok, so, that's a whole different thing. Just ask my 12-year-old daughter. I mean, that's a great advertising medium. I mean, so there are so many different mediums now. I think, like I've said a couple of times, if you hold true to, it's got to be good, it's got to be clever, it's got to be entertaining, I think no matter where you put creative or advertising or develop strategy, it's got to kind of meet that requirement, and you'll be successful,
So did you ever think when TikTok first came out, you would have to learn it from a marketing perspective for Mesh?
Well, no.
You can be honest.
So I'm on all the platforms. Sometimes it's just for parental guidance, like
checking out, see what's happening on there.
Yeah, I'm actually on Snapchat because that's the way
on Snapchat.
Well, I communicate with my daughter that way. I mean,
wait, what?
She won't text me, but she'll snap me.
Oh
so,
gosh.
But
so texting is too slow now.
Yeah. So she probably doesn't want any record of it, But yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by it. I mean, you have to be if you're in advertising. I mean, it's I'm an ad guy. I mean, I feel like I've always loved watching commercials. I mean, that I kind of liked watching commercials sometimes more than I liked watching the program.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I just love the business. I'm so blessed to be involved in this business. So I think you just, you have to kind of immerse yourself in it and just kind of ignore the stuff you don't like to hear and see in some of these social outlets and see what good it brings to the world, you know? And that's really what we try and do with the brands that we represent. It's like, really kind of push them to say, all right, what can you offer up to this great society and world that we live in? So.
Yeah, and it makes an impact. We've got David Fluker
Oh,
on the
he's
LinkedIn
awesome.
Live saying "Go Taylor."
Yeah, he's the man. We did some fun advertising for him back in the day.
I bet. Did you work with him on his chocolate covered cricket?
We did, yeah. I worked with him on a lot of stuff. I worked with him on some stuff that wouldn't fly these days. But David was one of those guys, and I'm thankful that I've had these clients that have allowed us to really push the envelope, And David was one of those guys. I mean, Martin and I, when we were working on that account, we would come up with these ideas, and say, and there's no way he's going to go for this. It's just way too far out there. And we would present it, and he'd kind of get a little nervous and back up, and then he'd go, all right, let's go for it. Y'all are the experts. And,
wow.
And I think I'll say this, that clients that have that kind of trust and belief in the process and in their team and in their agency usually see really good results on the bottom line, if they're with the right agency.
I was about to say, you're just saying agencies are well worth the investment there.
One time years ago, we had a client who asked us to put all their products in one ad, and it was like 7 new products. And
7 products in one ad?
Yeah. And it's like, that's what I want to do. We're going to do it. I was like, all right. So, we stayed up kind of thinking about it. It was a paver company, like kind of brick pavers that you see on the ground. And the key kind of differentiator was that it was an environmental product. So in other words, it was environmentally friendly. Mm-hmm. It didn't have any water runoff. So we sketched about 5 minutes, sketched what we called the environmental species of North America. And it was 7 turtles, and the shells of the turtles mimicked each of the patterns of the pavers. Ah. And we sent it into him, and he literally called me. We faxed it. This was years ago. We faxed it to him.
Wow.
And he called me the next morning, and he said, "What are you doing? Are you trying to make me lose my job? Like, what are you doing here?" And maybe threw a few, explicatives in there too.
Expletives, yeah.
But
got French with it.
That's right. But he let us run with it. And it was one of the most successful campaigns that brand Bellegarde had ever done, Wow. I think that's important, trust in the process and letting the creative team really flex. I think that's when really magical stuff happens for businesses who hire agencies.
So, and you developed your agency, you did your catalog, from the people in Atlanta through, your cousins once removed, stepmom, whatever the link is, right? And so from there, did you instantly see a growth, or was it still a long time coming before you started to say, hey, maybe we need to bring on somebody else?
Yeah. So my partner and I, we grew pretty steady for the first 7 or 8 years we were working together. And Brian Hanlon was my business partner, and he was amazing. Just one of the best creatives I've ever worked with. And in 2013, we were about 9 people. And I was ready to kind of do it for a different reason. And my reason kind of changed to not just developing great work, but developing skills for the people who were doing the work, so that, these guys and gals were just doing great work. And so, at that time, I bought Brian out, and we really became kind of a mission-driven company. In 2013, we wrote a mission statement, and it was serve, be authentic, and go beyond. We really started kind of, mapping out growth, and we brought media buying in-house and strategy I brought in, a few years later, brought in a good friend of mine, Hector Gonzalez, who was my client. I could name so many people who helped during that transition, because it was a hard transition. Christina Brown was amazing. Brooke Dines, David Courtois, who's been my basically sidekick for 15 years. We all just kind of band together and we're like, we're going to grow this thing. I think we can do it for the city. We can do it for Baton Rouge. And, we were also seeing really great talent coming out of the advertising school at LSU. Superb talent. And so we started bringing on interns, and then we got to where we could hire these interns, and we basically just started growing a company. And, it was like, it felt like, a real company. And, I think being mission driven was a big part of that, So that was 13 then we moved offices, and we started seeing some more business coming out of Atlanta and some more opportunities, and we started gaining some more national accounts. And then last year was really kind of another big turning point for us.
With COVID.
With COVID, we all went to our houses, except for me. I was like by myself at the office for at least 2 months. And
oh, wow.
It was weird. But we're like, man, we work really well remotely. And I was like, if we work this well remotely, why don't we have offices outside of Baton Rouge?
And you don't need a physical presence to be successful. COVID has proven that time and time again.
Yeah, it was just kind of like one of those things. So it was kind of like we took a quick turn in our strategic plan, and we popped up an office in Atlanta. I basically hired my replacement for creative, Justin Archer, who was with Publicis, one of the big holding companies, and he's really great. And then I brought Will Jenkins on, who's in Austin. So we had those two offices. And then Matt Pruitt, who's amazing, well-respected advertising professional in New Orleans, we brought him on. And I was like, wow, now we are kind of covering the South. And
it's even interesting to hear you say when you added one person, you added an office.
Yeah.
It's like, we've got somebody in Austin. Sure, no problem. It's like one person shows up.
Well, at that time, nobody had an office. So, it was like, oh yeah, he's working out of his house, just like you are, so it was, for us, we felt like it was a right move. And we knew that we were going to have to wait a little while for it to really kind of pay off.
Yeah.
And, when the first surge of COVID kind of ended, we saw a lot of, great response to those decisions. And we're starting to see more and more. And, thankfully through COVID, we had some good clients who, hung with us, and we hung with them, and we were partners, and that's critical too. When we work with a client or a brand, we become their partner, and it can't work unless we are their partner, and it goes both ways.
I think that it's challenging for businesses when they hire somebody like that. A marketing firm to come in and say, hey, this is what we think you need to do. This is how we would execute it. And this is what we are going to present to you in the form of a plan. And for some business owners, they could be like, whoa, I never envisioned this. This is not what I wanted to do. No, let's scrap the whole idea. And I'm sure as you've seen time and time again, you got to kind of sit there and be like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
But you hired us for a reason.
Yeah.
You hired us because whatever it was that you had in your head may or may not have been working, or you didn't have the time to execute on it.
Yeah.
Why don't we go back with your ideas? Let's make a hybrid version.
Yeah.
Let's see what can be included from what you've got and what we've presented with you to here today. And we'll pick whatever is going to be the best that we think. And then we can circle back around. And then you're either going to get them on board or they're going to say, no, you're out of here. I mean, have you ever had that happen where they said, no, it's too crazy, get out of here?
Early on we did. I mean, not everything we do is completely off the wall crazy. It's usually if I'm involved in it, it would be. But, we have a lot of healthcare clients. We represent banks. But we always try and find whatever that thing is that makes people connect, and it's hard to argue with that, once there is that connection. But yeah, I mean, we've it's a lot of what we do is sell our ideas and on the creative side, but we've added strategy, and that's helped tremendously because we basically have people on staff who are great consultants who can go in and work with clients one-on-one or as a team and work through those struggles and those what ifs and those doubts, and then bring them to the place where they're ready to take a risk and really embrace a great brand or a great marketing plan. So it's kind of like, if I went to the dentist and I said, nah, I don't think what you're doing is right there,
I don't think I need a root canal. No,
Right.
just give me a filling, we'll call it a day.
Right. I mean, marketing is so subjective.
Right.
It's not like your business where numbers don't lie. But at the
Some
end,
clients wish they would.
right. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're looking to grow companies, and those numbers don't lie, and so if we know what those goals are, we're making recommendations and we're making every decision to get to whatever that goal is. And it's usually a financial goal or a lead generation goal or something like that. So, and those numbers don't lie. We either did our job or we didn't,
Have you all ever had any campaigns just absolutely flop and not go nearly as planned?
That's a good question.
All in the past, mind you.
Yeah.
Potential clients listening to this,
There
all
was
in the
one,
past.
yes.
They've
No.
learned from them. There's one we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's not doing real well.
Kind of thinking twice on that one. Let me think. That's a hard one. I'm sure, especially early on. I mean, I think it's hard for me to, I can't.
I mean, I know you're full of 100% great
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
But has there been something that stuck with you that's like you initially thought it was a good idea at the time, but then after execution, you're like, that didn't play out like we thought?
That happens a lot, but usually we don't let it get out the door,
Okay.
We've got,
there you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good answer.
We've got, and I mean, there have been, yes, my ideas have been shot down a lot, and I mean, I think any creative, their ideas can get shot down for sure. Right. I mean, I'm trying to think if there was an actual flop. I don't know. I might have to come back to that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll circle back. I mean, because
I'm sure there is.
There's
I'm sure
always
at
something
least
one
a
time
handful.
you're like, in my mind, if I do something like, oh, this is going to be like super great, it's going to roll really well, and then like it totally flops. Like now I've gotten to the point where I'll look at something like, okay, I'm really going to enjoy this, which means it's going to flop. And I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this. That means it's going to do very well.
Yeah.
And I have yet to be wrong in either of those.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
So on that note though, how is your team able to constantly stay creative? I mean, you're seeing, what's your ballpark of number of clients that y'all are dealing with on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, we've got a lot, I think altogether over 50, 60 clients, you know.
I'm sure some are in the same field.
Yeah.
But some may not be. How are you able to kind of keep that creative juices flowing throughout the company?
Yeah, I think it has to do with leadership and just frankly, like I felt like bringing somebody like Justin in to lead the creative team at the size that the team had gotten was better than me to continue to do that. I'm a player. I'm not a coach, on that level in my craft. And so I think having, he and David, both of our, leads on creative, do a great job. Plus, we have really good people who are self-starters.
Yeah.
We hire people who are, kind of have a self-starter mentality, who get super jazzed about, seeing their work and really love the craft of what they do. Like, we've got base camp is what we work in. And I saw a message this weekend from Amy Blackadder, one of our senior designer art directors, who had worked on the Visit Baton Rouge spot. And she was like, my mom just like sent me a message saying, she saw the spot and how cool it was. And I mean, just, we've got people who take pride in their work. They want to do good work, and they work well together as a team, even when it's remote. I think that's kind of the weirdness in our industry, is that, we collaborate, but as creatives, we have to kind of go into our own space to create and then come back and bounce it back and forth.
Yeah, and being able to do that remote, I mean, I'm sure the last year everyone has learned, regardless of whatever industry you're in, is how to collaborate remotely.
Yeah.
And your team is proof to your team is we've got Deborah Lockwood saying Taylor and Mesh are awesome. So clearly your team has made an impression.
Deborah's great. Yeah. She and Steve Hicks have been a great client for a long time. So
yeah,
good people.
How do y'all go about now reaching out for clients for new work?
Some of it's word of mouth. I think bringing on people who have been in the industry and who have got a good reputation is important. Some people who have been in the industry for a long time and who know, like, that if you refer work to this person, and not just me, but any of our leadership, that's a plus. I mean, just having a good team of veterans who have been at it for a long time. Also, the whole company, I think every day has a place in new business just by the work that we create, right? And that could be from a business strategy to a PR campaign to a piece of creative, whatever it is. I think we're constantly kind of trying to get new business, and that's the whole company's job to do that. And they do a good job with it, because we get a lot of the business we get is referral business, and then, we will, if there's something that we feel like we can do a good job with on an RFP, or that we've got some past experience with, we're going to go after it. And we're not just going to throw something together and send it off. If we want it, we're going to go after it. So, like Visit Baton Rouge was one that we went after. I'm from Baton Rouge. I love this city. And I really wanted to make a difference, from a tourism perspective. And we have, working with Karen Alford and her team. So,
Karen's great.
Karen's awesome.
She's also been a past guest.
Oh,
on the
really?
show.
Man.
Yeah.
It's like
back when we did the porch filming.
Okay.
Back in my house, we used to film on the porch, which was a whole different ambiance.
Yeah, I can relate. So
yeah, I mean, as a marketing firm, you got to market yourself.
That's right.
I mean, you have to be able to not only present the work of other companies, you got to present yourself in a way that is attractive to new businesses and say, I want to work with that person.
Yeah.
I mean, and on that, what have you seen in Baton Rouge? How has Baton Rouge evolved from a marketing standpoint?
I think it's awesome. The creative agencies and different types of agencies who are in Baton Rouge, I just love seeing it. It's when Mesh was started, I think there was maybe, just a handful of agencies, and now there's a whole lot, and I just think that's great, and because it just, I think I say this all the time, I feel like we have such an amazing opportunity with LSU being where it is, and Southeastern, Southern, and all these awesome universities around us, to really cultivate a very, very creative, enthusiastic place for people to come live and work. I mean, I think that Baton Rouge is on the cusp of having a creative industry.
Really?
And so I think it's going to take leadership from, not only agencies, but music. My friend at the Arts Council, who, Renee, I think everybody is trying to kind of beat on that same drum and do, we got to do it. I mean, we have what it takes. We've got this awesome university like right in our backyard, and several others kind of circulating around us, and great people coming out of it. And, I'll say one of the hardest things for me, and it's happened a lot, is when I've got an all-star creative who works at Mesh for 5 or 6 years, and then they want to leave Baton Rouge just to kind of spread their wings and look and see and find new places. And I think that'll happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think our job, I feel like, is to really make this city sticky for the creative community, and make the creative people just want to flock to it, And so that's what my personal passion was in 2013 when I made the commitment and decision to really build Mesh, So
Yeah, it was how can we attract people here, but also retain the people that are already here.
Right.
Because we have an excellent system that is producing wonderful people, whether they're graduating or they're leaving jobs to come here. I mean, last week on the show, we had Rick Patel, who came from California to open a business here in Port Allen.
Right.
How do we get that on a grander scale?
Right.
How do we get it to where Baton Rouge becomes one of those cities, those destinations that everybody's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to leave wherever I'm in to go to Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
That's the conversation that we got to have.
Yeah. I think it takes commitment. It takes more than just, civic leadership. I think it takes the business community as a whole doing it. And I feel like we're in a really good place where that's concerned with BRAC and, some of the other partners who are out there. But we do have some work to do in selling the creative aspect. We have it. I mean, these folks here, Flashbang right?
Productions, absolutely.
I mean, every time I turn, I'm like, there's another like really great creative group out there doing really fantastic work, and we need to start talking about that, because it's everywhere in Baton Rouge, and I hope we're all friendly enough to be able to band together and do that, So,
yeah, I think we are.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of conversations with Adam Knapp from Bragg. He was on the show this year, actually, and we were talking about that stuff of what can we do to move forward? How do we continue to push through this? And it's just one step at a time by business leaders, by civic leaders, and we're all just banding together to do what we can to make Baton Rouge a better place.
Yeah.
And so with that, we've got to kind of start winding the show down. And so we've got 4 very hard-hitting questions we like to ask.
All right. Shoot.
What is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Oh, man.
I know, very hard-hitting questions.
Gosh. Did as a kid. Like how old? Young?
Whatever age, man. What is something you did when you were younger you wish you could still do today?
Man, this is taking you back to Avoyelles Parish.
Let's do it.
I used to love to hydroslide. Do you know what that is?
Hydroslide.
Knee boarding?
Yes.
Behind a boat. Loved it.
Okay.
Skateboarding was another one that I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever do like the kneeboarding or the skateboarding with the trucks and wheels off through a ditch with a four-wheeler?
No.
Am I the only one that did that? Am I the only one that did that? Yeah,
I don't know.
You go
Sounds
you
fun,
go down. So like for in Big Bend, they've got the big levee that runs right in between the you got a ditch that runs along the side of the road, and you got the levee that runs down the river.
Yeah.
And so when it rains a lot, those ditches flood. And so you get somebody on a four-wheeler, and you got either a skim board. I used to do it with a skim board in my parents' backyard because the yard would flood. And we just drive around in a circle with the four-wheeler, and you'd be on a skim board with a ski rope, and you'd just be going around. Some people would do it in a ditch.
That's awesome.
And so you just run down River Road in between the bayou and the levee, and you just be in the ditch.
That sounds like fun.
So I like that. I like that.
I might do that.
Knee boarding. Okay.
Boarding, yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
What are I mean, you've been in this business for 18 years plus years now working on that. What are 3 lessons you've learned along the way?
I guess early on, I wanted everything to happen really quick.
Yeah.
And
everyone does.
I wanted it all to happen. And there were some things that I probably did too quickly, or early on in the business. And I think it affected the work a little bit, but probably more so my personal life, just working 80 hours a week. And that's probably one, just like dial it back a little bit. It'll come. Keep doing good work. On the flip side, you got to work. If you're going to have a business, you got to work really hard. But I think
not the 80 hours all the time.
Yeah, maybe 70.
Maybe a little bit more than 20.
Yeah. So that's one. You need 3, you said?
I said just 3. Yeah,
okay.
Just 3 lessons.
Let's see. Only on business, right?
What? No. Yeah. Whatever 3 lessons you've learned in your life.
Oh, God. It
doesn't have to be just
heavy,
business.
man.
Oh, it's deep. We get deep.
Yeah, that's real deep. I think one thing that is a definite is to bring. So I started bringing people on more aggressively when I kind of switched my mission. I think the company would be further along if I would have done that 5-7 years before I did it. I think having the right team around you is critical. I mean, if you're going to run a real business, making sure that the people that are around you are just rock stars, and have things that you don't. And so that'd be another one. And I've got it. I'm so blessed to have that, man. For everybody on my staff is just amazing. And I guess the other is when I was a fierce creative, I would battle with clients. I mean, I really wanted
toe to toe.
Yeah, I wanted the work to sell. And I think being a little bit more client centric early on. I'm definitely much more that way now. But being more understanding of the client and what the problems they had, and listening to that kind of stuff and kind of addressing things from a different way, would have been something I would have done differently.
Absolutely. I love all 3 of those. What is something you love about Baton Rouge?
Man, Baton Rouge, like I said, I'm born and raised here. I love the people, and it sounds so cliche because I think everybody says that.
I think just about everyone this year said that. Said the people, the culture, the food. We got some food.
We've got good food. I think that the things that you're able to do, like I love the outdoors. I like to hunt and fish, and being that close to being able to do that is amazing. And being able to share that with my son or daughter, and hopefully years down the road is great too. I think we have an opportunity too in that respect where we can look at, all these drainage ditches in Baton Rouge and maybe make some recreational canals for kayaking. I know Marie Constantine's been talking a lot about that, and I think that there's a huge opportunity there. So I think there's some things that we can work on. But I love Baton Rouge, man. It's like meeting you, and we'll probably have a connection for life just because we're here in Baton Rouge. And I think that's what's special about this place. It's good people. Real good people.
People make up the city, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. They are a truly, truly great representation of what Baton Rouge is. And then for the final question, what can I do to help you?
Man, I think you just did it, So.
Something outside of that. It's like the generic question. It's the generic answer.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
It's the blanket answer. Just having me on the show. Come on.
I think, never mind. I won't go there.
What is it?
I think, if you like what you heard, I can guarantee you that it's the truth. And, just pass us business, and, give us a good mention, if you're around people. I mean, referrals are still how we earn business after 18 years. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys. So, but that's a hard question to answer. It really is. I like it though. I'll have to think about it. I'm going to text you my answer later on.
Text me the answer a little later on. Well, Taylor, dude, thank you so very much for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure, man.
I really appreciate it. I know it was a little far out there when we scheduled it, so I'm glad we were able to make it happen and get you on the show. And I appreciate you telling your story about Mesh and everything else y'all are doing in the community.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. You have a great crew here too. By the way.
Flashbang kills it every time.
Yeah,
every week they're out here just crushing it.
Nice, good stuff.
Yeah, and I thank everybody else for tuning in, whether it be through the audio version or the video version, whatever your platform you're consuming this content. I appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. And a big shout out to the two companies who make this thing possible. That is Falaya Real Estate. They are a local-based Baton Rouge-born app that are helping homeowners sell their home in a unique way to not only save you money on the closing costs, but also to kind of walk you through the entire process from start to finish. And secondly, Government Taco, as you can see, Flynn Foster is everywhere. He's involved with that business. Jay Ducote over there. They've got a special taco of the month. Every month is brand new. Thirsty Thursdays, which means happy hour every Thursday. And my favorite, Margarita Mondays. Go there, check them out. Tell them the Patty G Show sent you, and they'll be sure to take good care of you. And with that, y'all, thank y'all so very much for listening to the latest rendition of the Patty G Show. I am here with Taylor Bennett, CEO and founder of Mesh. Y'all have a good one.